Well, let's take this in a different direction. Go ahead, Ryan, if you have something to
Take
add.
it in a simpler
All right.
direction.
I was going to say, if they weren't infiltrating the U.S.'s infrastructure, I was going to say that I don't know if we should really deal with them at all because they are a sovereign nation.
This is true.
They have the right to do their human rights as they want to. I'm not exactly sure the United States has a right to change their human right policies just because we don't disagree with it. Now, given it is wrong, but that's China's choice. But since they are infiltrating the U.S., something needs to be done.
No, I agree. That's exactly the route I was going to take it.
Oh, good.
I mean, Google has gotten a lot of bad press and bad PR because they were self-censoring themselves. They were saying, they would block out certain words like freedom and equality.
If you typed in Tiananmen Square, it would come up as children playing. And
not the famous picture of the tank and the man stopping it. So I agree, though. They are a sovereign nation and they have rights to restrict whatever. But I think they cross the line when you start attacking American corporations and you start attacking the United States government.
Stay in your own country. You go beyond that and you're going to get pushed back.
See, and then the other thing that we can tie into this is Google is actually being criticized as this being just a business decision covered in this whole social, fighting for humans' rights, because they're actually they only have a 14% market share in China. They get crushed by a search engine called Baidu there. So people are accusing Google of just straight business, and then they're just fine. This is the good way to get out. Do you guys think that they are actually upset because they got hacked? Are they upset about the human rights, or is this just a business decision, or is it a little bit of all three?
I can't speak for them, but I assume it's a little bit of both. If I were them, I'd be really upset. Mm-hmm. You're talking about a government that you made huge sacrifices for to deal with. And if you remember, the 90s and the early 2000s, how much the U.S. corporations had to tout and, kind of bow down to Chinese governments and their censorships just so they could get through the border because everybody wanted to go to China. Mm-hmm. If I had done all that work and then you were going to try and hack me, I would do the exact same thing. And it's just, I think, an extra perk.
And I disagree. I don't think it's business at all. I think it's purely ethics because 14% of billions of people is still a lot.
It's very true.
And only like half of China has internet. That is a huge market, and they can only go up from here. So if they were planning business to get out of that market, that'd be a horrible decision because there are so many people that Google can make money off in China. It's just a huge market.
Well, I think that they're also doing it for ethics and because one of their most prized assets, their source code to the best search engine, according to a lot of people, is trying to be stolen by the Chinese government. So I think it's basically an ethic thing, but I think there is a little bit of business because they are losing a bunch of money in there.
Yeah, but Google's known for conquering challenges and being successful, and I don't think China would have. China would have been a challenge, but they would have overcame it.
Well, this is it's just not a blase issue. Yeah. They hacked into their corporation to steal, like you said, their secrets. So, shall we move on to the next?
Yep, let's talk. You guys are probably sick of hearing about this, but Scott Brown won a special election in Massachusetts.
I bet they haven't heard.
It's been beaten. It's been beaten to death, but it's such a big topic, and it means so much for so many things. Mm-hmm. So Scott Brown beat out is she the Attorney General for Massachusetts?
Oh,
I think it was.
I think
so. I think it was.
Martha Coakley was her name.
Yep.
And this was a special election for Senator Ted Kennedy's Senate seat, and that seat has been Democratic since Kennedy had been in office.
It's around 47 years.
That's right. Yeah. So it's been a Democrat seat for a very long time. And Scott Brown, the Republican, won the special election. This has been more of a vote on the healthcare bill because had Coakley won, she would have been the 60th seat, and that would have had the Democrats have the supermajority, and they could have passed the healthcare bill. So what does this mean for the healthcare bill, guys? Was this a vote for the healthcare bill or for the seat?
Well, all right. I think that it was. I know that a lot of it is about the healthcare debate and things like that, but I think also an aspect of it was this complete disconnection she had with the people of Massachusetts. She didn't go out there and shake hands. Scott Brown went out there and shook hands and stuff. And if you listen to parts of his campaign, I mean, there's a couple of things that are laughable because one of his arguments was, well, I drive a truck.
Yeah, he did run a brilliant campaign.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he was much more relatable. She was not relatable. He did talk about the healthcare debate, and I think what this does is it does stop it. Because for whatever reason, how the Senate operates now is you have to have a supermajority. You've got to have 60 votes, even though 51 should be able to pass a bill. It's a given that there's going to be filibusters. So I think it's killed it. At least any kind of like ambitious reform. I'm sure they could get some, like the McCain health plan could probably pass.
Yeah, the Democrats right now are scrambling around looking for a plan B to find any way to save this bill.
Senator Chris Dodd has even said that they were going to take a month off from this debate to try and regroup. One thing that I thought was really weird about this election is that the president of the United States got involved in this local election. Do you guys think that was the right thing to do? I mean, he went down and campaigned for Coakley. I think he even did an ad, if I remember reading.
They do an ad.
Yeah. I don't think, I mean, I understand that he was trying to rally them, but he was purely rallying them because it was over health care. He was just telling them, this woman is not necessarily good, but she is a vessel to achieve health care.
Right.
And that we should, kind of have an elect her for Ted Kennedy, blah, blah, we'll fix it all. And I really think it ended up not looking good because not only did it bring more media attention, it pointed out that she's probably going to lose. And another statistic, when you go into the political polls and stuff like that and studies, is people like to vote for the winner. They don't like to vote for the person who loses, and it does actually carries like 3 or 4% of the vote.
I think a big aspect of this was the populist anger against just all incumbents. And with Obama coming in and supporting her, I actually think that probably would have hurt her. He was just campaigning on, I'm different, I'm not in the Beltway. Yeah. And I think that's what actually got him.
He had that line where, with all due respect, it's not Ted Kennedy's seat, it's the people's seat. And then even the words, the people's seat, was behind him when he gave his victory speech.
Yeah.
So I think that was just the kind of attitude that he ran on, and it worked.
Yeah. And independents and moderates just flooded to him because they just didn't want to have anything to do with incumbents and Democrats.
That takes me right to the next thing I was going to ask. What does this mean for the 2010 midterm elections for the whole House of Representatives is up and 1/3 of the Senate, as is always. What does that mean? I mean, the way that the last president, Barack Obama, won and the way that Brown won has been on the support of independents and moderate Democrats and liberal Republicans. What does this mean for political strategy, and how is it going to shape the entire midterm elections this November?
Well, the day that Scott Brown was elected, President Obama started to run for re-election. And you're going to start to regroup because for whatever reason, he's got to really get optimistic again. The most shocking thing about his presidency has been how optimistic and how energizing he could be as a candidate, and how unbelievably not very energizing he's been as the actual administrator. So I think if he's campaigning, if he starts it now, he's going to get that optimism back, and I think that's going to be their strategy. He's got to somehow, because he ran on, I'm running against the government or whatever. I don't know how you're going to run against yourself and your own party, but good luck.
I'm going to change myself.
Yeah.
I think that this was a very big referendum on the healthcare bill because it got so much national attention from the big news outlets like CNN and Fox and Politico and Huffington Post. All these big sources were calling this a national election on what the healthcare bill was going to be.
I think it's a referendum on being out of touch. I think that I think a healthcare reform bill, as ambitious as this was, is not what people want. People need jobs, and they expect him to be working on it. Even though, the president can only do so much with the economy, people still put it on his shoulders.